I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land which I sit today, the Wurundjeri and the Burong people of the Kulin Nation. I thank them for the lessons on looking after the land, sky and waterways, and pay respects to the elders, past, present and emerging. Reflecting on the unit Advocacy in Leadership and Management so far has made me more conscious about my philosophy at being a leader to lead children and make a difference in their lives, just as well as teachers' lives too. Being a leader is someone who can effectively lead a team in which advocates for children as their main priority. Advocating for children's learning means I now lead my team to continue to acknowledge and be knowledgeable through educational opportunities, having an understanding of different practices and values, building set values with a shared vision and assessing those practices, knowing about children's rights and them having a voice, being open to communication within their team about reflections and practices, being open to communication with family about issues or any concerns. Being an effective leader has evolved for me. Being an influential person in everyday lives, I will endeavour to be everyone's game changer moment. What is the image of a teacher? Teacher. The word includes the word teach. It's another way of thinking about adults as co-learners with children, rather than just teaching concepts to children. The teacher learns alongside the children, in which lead children learning and curiosity of knowing more about the world. A great teacher makes teaching look so simple and can look different from one person to another. They are amazing people who can improve the quality of learning for children through critical reflection of their current practices and to be open to change. Effective teaching leads to learning in which transforms ideas, investigations and experiences into memorable theories for children. My image as a teacher is influenced by the Reggio Emilia approach to teaching. This approach represents the current shaping of our practice and beliefs. I strongly consider that teachers are the facilitators who support children in achieving goals, ideas and those rich environments for children to learn and grow in. Viewing children to have rights, untapped potentials and as competent and capable learners, teachers encourage, listen and support each child through their observation and expanding those experiences, making memorable, game-changing moments. Making a practice with a positive image for children embeds a partnership with children to learn in an emerging curriculum. In turn, being inclusive of everyone's needs regardless of language, beliefs, social economic status, disability and gender, the environment becomes a third teacher. I consider that as teachers, we are all co-learners with children and in which we work, investigate and collaborate with. As teachers, we are the co-constructors of knowledge through the way in which we stimulate children's way of thinking. Our approach of actively being present and listening, engaging in their learning, as well as asking open-ended questions to further make meaning. It's suggested by Lev Favosky's social cultural theory of scaffolding, there is a need to support children's learning by the more knowledgeable other. That other is the teacher, to help the children move through their learning to new or independent understanding of new skills. Being a co-learner with children, we advocate the creativity and capability of children building their skills through listening to their narratives, their needs, ideas, and their inquiries. This is so influential for teachers to follow what interests them, especially in the facilitation of their learning. This is where children get their most rich learning experiences when they are engaged and involved in their exploration. Reflection and critical reflection is a very meaningful process that leads to philosophy, theory, ethics, and practice. This entails teachers to think intentionally about their own and other practices. A deeper level of thinking through the evaluating creates further practices. As teachers, we need to embed into our philosophy to be accommodating to every child's individuality needs and their learning styles, embracing them with positivity and respect. Teachers are the advocates for children to build strong relationships with one another, their families, and their communities. Building these strong relationships with children and their families leads to having communication opportunities. These relationships build for those conversations of concerns, feedback, as well as an understanding of the child's home life. Teachers having a better insight of the child and their family provides the opportunity for an environment to be implemented in which it's advocated for them and it's inclusive. So, in early childhood setting, how does activism and advocacy present itself as well as relate to the image of a teacher? How does it influence my role as an activist or an advocate? What is activism? What does it mean to me? And what does it look like for the image of a teacher? Activists are perceived as fighters in pursuit of political, social, economical, or for religious reasons. This push is for public understanding of actions that are intentionally seized to influence the outcomes that are in the best interests of children, families, and educators. This means that I can be an activist as a teacher by campaigning for the aspects of change in early childhood sector. This is through the struggles of raising community awareness and obtaining public recognition. This could be done with the support of unions, as they are a larger community and they have larger voices. These could be on topics such as lower ratios, higher acknowledgement, better pay rates, more funding, so many things. But there is a lower rate of success. It takes a longer time. Whereas advocating within my own practice, there is a higher success of my campaign being achieved and implemented, as it's a smaller community. Within the early childhood community, the image of a teacher is being an activist for putting themselves on the line to campaign and imply action for influencing for further improvement within the National Quality Standard, Code of Ethics, United Nations of Child's Rights, the Early Years Learning and Developmental Framework, the Being, Becoming and Belonging, as well as accreditation and rating. Laying the foundations for actions outside the environment are more political. So, what is advocacy? What does it mean to me? And what does it look like at the image of the teacher? Advocacy involves acceptance of establishing a way of thinking about a problem and seeks to make change within. The changes and campaigns we make within our practice will grow children, other teachers, and respect families, knowing that the work that has been implemented is for positive change and for furthermore enrich the children's learning. Advocacy, for me, isn't just a choice. As a teacher, it is to lead the environment for the best outcomes for children and their learning. This extends to their family and their community. It's a role in which involves acceptance of establishment. This also extends to families and their communities. It's a role in which involves an acceptance of established ways of thinking about a problem and seeks to make change within. Within the early childhood community, the image of the teacher can be identified in different ways to others. Each individual teacher has their own personal values, philosophy and goals in which they embed into their environment to create a safe, nurturing and rich learning environment to shape the children from all walks of life. Essentially, advocacy and advocism is a part of our practice, and it is an important part at that. But for me, the role of advocacy is highlighted within my everyday practice. Teachers are advocates every day, tomorrow and the next day, and they are an important part of children's lives as being facilitators, embedding a very strong influence on children's development. This goes to their identity as well as their confidence and their individuality. Teachers are, 1. Advocates for holistic approaches in which have capability to voice children's needs and ideas in a way that makes meaning to their world, making a child an active participant and a decision maker, open to possibilities of their learning.